This week we have Kai Brand-Jacobsen. We have him for our Applied Conflict Analysis course, and he's currently the director of the Department of Peace Operations at PATRIR. So, first of all, I just want to ask you, what is the importance of having a program such as ours?
I think there's a profound importance. When you think about what's happening in the world today, what's happening in our communities, the conflicts that we have, conflicts in people's families, or the conflicts and wars that we see taking place internationally, what's extraordinary about having a master's in peace and conflict studies is that you're actually creating an opportunity for people to learn how can we deal with these conflicts effectively in a professional, high-quality academic program which draws upon a spectrum of professors and experts that are brought in from all around the world. This is one of the elements unique to Hacettepe. Instead of just relying upon the faculty that you have at your university, you're actually flying in different experts, academics, analysts, and practitioners, each able to teach in their different areas of expertise. I think the fact that you're also an international student body that's being brought together from all around the world, combining both graduate students as well as people who already have, many of them, extensive professional experience, so people who are working as diplomats, working in organizations with different backgrounds, and then providing an opportunity for them to come together for a year to go in depth into the study and research and analysis of conflict, war, violence, and peace building, to learn from different practical experiences and case studies, what has been done, what's worked, what hasn't worked. You're effectively helping to prepare and train practitioners, policy analysts, researchers who can take the knowledge and the skills they can here and apply them in their communities, in their countries, and internationally. We've seen an amazing rise in the field of peace studies over the last few decades. There was an article a few years ago in the Herald Tribune that said there are now more than 400 different degree programs in conflict resolution and peace studies around the world. The increase is fantastic. The challenge with most of our programs still at this point is that we're not going deep enough into quality, and there's often a disconnect between what academics teach in universities and the actual needs and realities on the ground. I think part of the strength of the program at Hacettepe is there is a commitment to combining both the highest quality analytical and academic standards with drawing upon practical experiences, and again, the international faculty and the international student body makes the program much more exciting and enriching for students who come to it than you would find in most programs in the world today.
Next question, what is the importance of knowing how to apply conflict analysis?
I think it's essential. You wouldn't go to a doctor and have them operate on you if they hadn't first been able to analyze and understand what was wrong. Ironically enough, even though conflict analysis has been one of the most developed research and focused on areas of the field, both academically and in practice, most of what's done on the ground today is still very poor practice. People are not trained rigorously. A lot of what we present as analysis is actually preconditioned and pre-constructed by the narratives, the ideologies, the lenses that we bring to looking at conflict. I think what we did this week was interesting in that we took the students through a rigorous series of practical applied steps which they used to work on actual conflict. So it wasn't purely theoretical. It was perhaps one of the most advanced programs and courses you can find in the theoretical and academic quality and standards of conflict analysis, but it also went several steps further in terms of training the participants that you have in practical application, and then using these tools and lenses to profoundly deepen and strengthen their rigorous understanding and analysis of the conflicts they're looking at. We went a step further in that we did not only do applied conflict analysis, but we did applied peace and conflict analysis. So in addition to looking at the dynamics, root causes, the sources, the pillars, the stakeholders, all of the different factors within the conflicts, we also mapped out what we call peace profiles. What is actually being done to address the conflict issues? And that's something that, unfortunately, most of our field has not begun to really look into. We are getting much better at that now. We have excellent work that's been done by the Collaborative for Development Action with their effective peace practice project and cumulative impact assessments, where they're going in depth to learn not only what are the conflict issues, but what are different agencies and organizations doing to address them, so that we can then test, assess, and evaluate what's working, what isn't working, how can we improve that. Also, the Department of Peace Operations, we do cumulative impact and needs assessments. We look not only at what is being done by a single project, a single organization, but we assess what are government policies, what are NGO policies, what's being done by local communities, national actors, international actors. So when you map, analyze, and understand what are the conflict factors and dynamics, then you can look as well at what is being done to address them, to see where are the strengths, where are the gaps, what do we need to do to improve. I don't think anyone, an analyst, a practitioner, a policymaker, can work in the field today responsibly without having rigorously tested, challenged, and deep knowledge and understanding of how to do practical application of peace and conflict analysis as a foundation for being able to develop, plan, and design appropriate measures and interventions. That's where we also introduced the term conflict intelligence, which addresses the gap. Very often those who do the analysis and those who do the practice are not the same ones. And we also looked at what are the challenges that we find in how most analysis is done today, that it's often prejudice and bias, that it's often very sloppy. Sometimes you're producing analysis to provide what the boss or the director, head of the agency wants to hear. Very few academics, analysts, practitioners are practically applying quality, tested methodologies which help them gain a multi-partial and more complex understanding of the conflict, but one which then enables them to see how to engage effectively. Conflict intelligence is about the connection of that analysis with the ability to develop appropriate and effective measures to address the key conflict drivers and to strengthen capabilities and processes for sustainable peace.
Why is resolving conflict so difficult today?
I don't think it always is. We start with some of these memes or these ideas that we tell ourselves in the field. Sometimes it's not. There are many conflicts that are extremely difficult and challenging. There are conflicts that we've been incredibly successful at finding ways of transforming. When we look at understanding why is it challenging, there are many different factors in different contexts. Some of them we see actually quite similar in many different areas. So one, our mindset and approaches, the intellectual training that we have, the culture and the values that we have in relation to conflict. It's often based upon what in the field we would call zero-sum thinking, good versus evil, win, lose, right, wrong, and the idea that my struggle, my narrative, my truth is sacred, I am correct, and you, for threatening that, are evil and wrong. So part of how we see conflicts and perceive conflicts in many different contexts and parts of the world. Another is that we don't actually build up our capabilities to deal with conflicts professionally and effectively. It's extraordinary that if I'm at many universities or in a television studio or in a policy setting, and I'm speaking with people and I discuss rape, murder, AK-47s, Merkava battle tanks, all of that is seen as concrete, realistic, professional. That is seen as acceptable discourse and what you can discuss, what you can do research on, what you can do studies on. But if I speak about peace and peace building, there's almost this automatic switch that happens for many people. That's seen as naive, idealistic. That's about as realistic as saying that for a doctor to speak about medicine is naive and idealistic. To speak about peace building and to understand practically and professionally what does it take to transform conflicts effectively, it's not idealistic or naive, it's realistic and necessary. And in the same way that over the last centuries we have trained doctors, built medical systems, deepened our knowledge and understanding, discovered bacteria, germs, and other things which today are basic in medicine, which enable us to address illness and disease more effectively. We're also taking leaps and bounds in the field of peace building to transcend these tired and bankrupt doctrines and dogmas, often based upon misunderstandings or theologies about conflict, and instead to rigorously understand what are the root causes and drivers of conflicts, how do they develop, how do they impact upon people, and what can be done about them. However, we're in a world today where we are investing trillions in military expenditures, maintenance and expansion of armies and the capabilities to destroy and to kill. Very few governments in the world actually train people effectively in how to do peace building. That is beginning to change. You're seeing tremendous steps. Turkey, for example, is a leader internationally together with a number of other countries in creating the Group of Friends of the United Nations on mediation, and it's beginning to engage there. You're seeing the African Union building a continent-wide pool of trained mediators that can be available upon demand. We're seeing the creation of local peace committees at the grassroots levels where conflicts are happening, bringing together trusted, respected leaders to deal with conflicts. All of that can sound very beautiful when you hear about it, very exciting. There's the challenge that often the people in these positions do not have the background training and preparation. They don't have the skills they need to deal with conflicts effectively. And that's something we need to work on. So we're very much in an evolving field. On a global scale and within many countries, you see that people are overwhelmingly sick and tired of violence. They're tired of wars, they're tired of the bankrupt and failed policies often pursued by leaderships on all sides, which often intensify hatred and escalate. You can see practical policies and measures taken by governments and by conflict parties, which rather than actually solving problems, which is what people want, they intensify it and they breed on fear and making people feel insecure and seeing the other as a threat. Because of that, we're also seeing a swell, a wave within countries and globally of more and more people becoming involved practically in trying to find how can we deal with conflicts more effectively. So when we say, why is it difficult in the world today? For many reasons. Because we're human beings, and it can be challenging for us in how we deal with conflicts together. Sometimes we do it wonderfully, sometimes we do it poorly. Because we have deep cultures, traditions, and values, which often make it difficult for us to go beyond enemy images and stereotypes of the others. Because we have infrastructure and capabilities developed for war rather than for dealing with conflicts effectively. Those are what make it difficult. What we are seeing is that people are working to address that and to build the infrastructure for peace, the capabilities for peace, and the professionalism, both at the level of training those who can engage with these conflicts and at the level of raising awareness in our societies that war is a defunct and ineffective approach of dealing with conflicts. It often doesn't achieve the goals, it often makes the situation much worse. In the same way, if you think about it from a medical lens, if you keep pursuing a therapy that makes patients and makes the population fall sick and die, then as countries and communities we need to recognize something might be wrong and we have to try something else. If we keep pursuing policies of escalating and intensifying division, polarization, and war, they are not achieving the goals of security, peace, safety, and actual solutions to conflicts that people want. It is naive, unrealistic, and irresponsible to continue on those paths. What people are trying to do is to build a capability to deal with conflicts effectively. That is part of the task of peace building as a field, and that's what's being addressed here at Hacettepe.
And also by you at PATRIR. Thank you so much.
Thank you.